I am talking with DJ Elliot James, also known as Poetoaster, about his experience as a DJ. What does a DJ mean to you?
I was thinking about that the other day, and for me it's a passion to share music with others, essentially. That's, to me, the essence of it, is to take your passions of finding music, sharing artists with people, and play it out in a setting where people can enjoy it all together.
Would you say being a DJ is an art form?
Definitely, because a lot of these art forms, whether you're a painter, a guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, a producer, every one of them requires a lot of hours put into the craft. You know, if I put in 10,000 hours listening and finding music and playing records for people, that's just as valuable as someone who puts 10,000 hours on a guitar. There's a lot of elements, you know, when you talk about, oh, he or she's an excellent guitar player, I like the way they play these notes, I like the way they, you know, bend their string, you know, those sort of things. With the DJ, there's an art form within it of creating an atmosphere, taking people on a journey. If you know, some of the legendary DJs back in the day when it first started would play 8, 9, 10-hour sets. There'd be parts where people were sitting down, there'd be parts where people were crying, there'd be parts where people were dancing. That sort of thing requires you to have you gotta have a feeling, you have to be able to set a vibe and take people on a journey with you.
How would you describe the music you play?
But for me, a lot of what dictates what I play, I'm a big proponent of the space that you play the music in. So the places and aims that I DJ, I feel like the room, the sound, the feel of the people is a richer, spacier music. So that could be funk. I like to start my sets with a lot of kind of obscure funk numbers, and go into some disco, and then go into some house music, and then kind of fade back out into funk. They don't always follow that recipe, but it kind of depends on the way the crowd's reacting to it. But the funk and the disco and the soul music, I think, are the most accessible for the, you know, first-time listener. You know, a lot of venues in towns are bars, so you might have some people that are in there just getting a drink, not necessarily there for you or for the music, and that's just something that's not quite as intense, and it's a little more understood than the house music. But the house music is my biggest love and my biggest passion, so I kind of go through all the influences of house music. A lot of house music was influenced by early funk and disco, and you know, that beats per minute of around 120, 125 is kind of the sweet spot for me for dancing. So it could be any kind of music if it hits that mark.
Does the venue determine the kind of music you play?
For sure. I think a lot of the places around here that I played, or some people have seen me play and heard my sound. You know, a lot of times I just bring my own sound system, and it does fairly well in small spaces. You know, the biggest sound systems in town, you know, DGs, makes a difference too. DGs is very spacious, so I like a little bit more intimate, smaller rooms. And you know, with those you don't need quite the sound system, and a lot of that is more about the ambience inside. Like, a lot of my favorite clubs ever are small little hole-in-the-wall joints where it's all black. A lot of times the parties don't even start till 1 or 2 in the morning, and they'll go till sunrise. So I also really like to experience music at night. The later you go, just people get weirder. And So I guess for me, like if you've been to one of the some legendary club in Berlin or London or Chicago or some of these places where this kind of music was developed, like techno was kind of born in Berlin and Germany, and if you go to shows at those places, they're generally warehouses, concrete structures, very kind of minimal. The bass is really a heavy focus, and once you've heard that and once you've experienced that, that's something totally unique. If you go to a underground club in Detroit at 4 a.m. in a tiny little venue, that's a totally different experience too. So each space, you're not going to put the biggest sound system in the world in a tiny little bar.
Getting back to the roll. There we go.
What kind of experience are you trying to create?
Really, my favorite sets are 4+ hour sets. That can't always happen. Some of the venues in town you can only play till 1:30 or so. Even in that space though, just really come with just open ears. I'm probably going to play some stuff you may not have heard before, or you may think sounds all the same, just because it's a certain tempo the whole time. And I try to switch it up. I might go on a run where I play an hour's worth of music at a certain tempo, and then I might completely stop it and change tempo and drop it and kind of like cool down the room. So I guess for my shows, if you came to hear me play, you got to realize it's a marathon, not a sprint. I might, if the vibe is different in the room, I might take an hour to really get into it. Sometimes I might get right into it within 10 minutes, but it's gonna, evolve, and I'm gonna try to play with the crowd and give you different feelings and emotions. Take you up, take you down, those sort of things.
How important is dancing to you?
I mean, that's pretty much what it's for. I mean, we could sit in my living room and I could play you music. A lot of people are DJs that, in their home. A lot of people love to share music. People pass artist names around all the time. Oh, have you heard this? Like, that's essentially, a DJ on a certain level. But when you have been to some of these places where that DJ culture is rich, and, it's the most important music, the most important release of art forms such as breakdancing, dancing, graffiti, all those sort of things. Like when you've been to those places, looking and staring at the DJ or the performer is not necessarily why you go to it. You go to dance and to release yourself in that sort of way. So to me, that's the essential thing. And as an active listener at DJ shows, it's the funnest part to me is dancing and seeing how you can move your body to these different tempos and different rhythms.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to DJ?
I guess for me, I would just say, do you have a passion to share music with others? And if your answer is yes, then it's a logical step. If you're doing it for other reasons, that'll work too, but you really have to have a passion for it. It's just like any art form. If you don't want to do it every minute of your life, then it might not be the best fit.
I will see you at London Underground on Saturday, September 17th for Maximum Aims. I love to get down.